The other day, I was driving in the car with my mother, and suddenly she said, "Son, you do these public speaking things. How can I say less ums when I talk?" And she's driving, looking forward, and I suggested, "Mom, instead of trying to say something all the time, maybe you can take a pause." Dead silence. I looked over to my right, and my mom was hunched over and said, "Son, I'm sorry, what did you say?" I was busy texting on my phone. Have you ever felt like you were talking and nobody was listening? Well, who's to blame? It's your fault because you're not listening. Well, if you're not saying anything interesting, then why should I pay attention? Have you ever heard of the chicken or the egg? Which came first, listening or talking? Communication is a two-way street, right? It's like a dance between you and your partner. Listening and talking coexist. In our society, it seems like the main focus is on talking. Speaking equates with success, power, fame. Listening is more passive. As adults, much of our waking hours are engaged in some sort of communication. We actually spend the majority of our time, or 40%, on listening, 35% on speaking, 16% reading, and 9% on writing. What's more interesting is that our formal training on communication from grades K through 12 is completely backwards. We spend 12 years on writing, 6 to 8 on reading, 1 to 2 on speaking, and when was the last time we learned how to listen? What if, just what if, we placed a little more value on educating ourselves and others on the communication skill that we already use the most often? Imagine, what can happen if we all knew how to listen? I am a hip-hop street performer, and I danced in Paris for a year. And we would actually practice in the train stations. So one day, this little boy came up to me and said, "Hey, mister, can you teach me how to do this one move?" And this one move he was referring to is called the baby freeze. It was around 9 p.m. in the evening, and he was there by himself, jeans ripped, clothes a little bit dirty, and I thought, shouldn't he be home? But anyway, I showed him the move, but every single time he tried it, he couldn't get it. "How's it going?" "I can't do this. I'm too bad at it. Maybe dancing isn't for me." "Why do you say that?" He then opened up to me, so I paid him full attention to truly listen, just to get a sense of where he's coming from. And he told me that not many people believed in him, that whenever he wanted to talk about dancing with his parents, they would ignore it and try to change the subject. That's why he sneaked out that night to learn how to dance. It sounds like you don't think you can do it and that no one is showing you support. How do you feel? I feel like a failure. Well, from seeing how hard you're trying and how passionate you are, I truly believe that you can do it. And I really meant that. We went back to our corners to practice, and I can see him try and fall again. But this time, he did something totally different. Every single time he fell, he would get back up and say to himself 3 times with such dedication and confidence, "Je peux le faire. Je peux le faire. Je peux le faire." In English, it translates to, "I can do it. I can do it. I can do it." Later on, he came up to me with a big smile on his face and said, "Thanks, mister, for listening and believing in me." He got right down on the floor, and he executed the move like he's done it 1 billion times. What if I didn't listen to that boy? What if no one listened to you? I learned a powerful lesson that day that Dr. Elton Mayo sums up nicely. One friend, one person who is truly understanding, who takes the trouble to listen to us as we consider our problem, can change our whole outlook on the world. Do you know someone who is stressed, unhappy? Someone who might be a little bit lost in life? Can you be their superhero just for a minute by listening? I believe that people just don't need to be loved, but also to be shown that they are loved. The cost of not listening is saying to my wife that I don't care about her. The cost of not listening is saying to your co-workers or employees that they don't matter. The cost of not listening is hurting yourself. Let's strive to be more effective listeners, because listening is a win-win situation. Here are my 3 definitions of good, great, and excellent listening. Active listening means that you are actively choosing to pay attention to what the other person is saying. This is listening with your head or logically. Try it now. You want to stay skeptical and ask, what can I learn from this exchange? What ideas can I find? And clarify by restating what the other person said if you have to. So active listening is concerned more about content rather than feeling. Usually you're emotionally detached. Empathetic listening is listening with your heart. The listener places themselves in the other person's shoes and attempts to hear things from their perspective. And this type of listening is usually difficult because we don't really try to understand what those words or what they're trying to really say. So ask, why are they saying this? What do they really mean? Or how are they feeling? True listening is the combination of active and empathetic listening. Or this is listening with your head and your heart. This is when it clicks, and you seem to be lost in time. When the conversation seems to go beyond the words, and when the speaker and the listener becomes one. Have you guys felt this before? This type of listening engages your full being. Feeling, seeing, hearing, sensing, responding to true unity. We live in a society where it's not going to slow down. We don't have to even be in the same place to see each other face to face anymore. But yet, at the same time, we live in a giant community where we all long for human connection. Through bad times and good times, listening is the glue that bonds us together. I have a challenge for you all today. For one day, not 30 days, or even 7 days, just one day, what if you listen to everyone as if they were the most important person in the world? How will your life change? Or more importantly, how will their life change? By listening, we can help each other feel like we matter and truly stand out. Listening is an investment in long-term relationships. It's an investment that will create a wealthy lifestyle. It's an investment in humanity. Thank you for listening.